in this world is my balls and my word. And I don't break them for no. Do you understand?
Three, two, one, we're live. I'm Big.
I'm Kiz.
And this is the Big Kiz Podcast. So, you know what, man, my week at work has been kind of crazy, but I'm a few months into this new job or whatever, and I'm kind of like, I've passed the point of caring anymore. Like, you just gotta work it when in your hours, and that's it, you know. But
Wait,
it's been exhausting.
How long
with like COVID and all of this.
I bet. How long have you been working at home for now?
So literally, apart from going into the office to learn bits of the job,
Yeah.
it's been since I've started, so about 7 months now.
Damn it. Wow, 7 months just working from home.
It's not for me, you know that. I think
Yeah.
I think it's hard to be at your best. One, man, I'm not that sociable. Like, people drain me. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I go out and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, can't deal with this anymore. Like, I need quiet time, all this kind of stuff. But even I need to. I'm not getting enough social interaction in general. Like,
I bet.
just yeah.
Do you like video call your friends or like WhatsApp groups like keep you entertained? But I guess that can only last for so long.
It can only last, and the thing is, I had that before lockdown anyway, like before all of this madness, and it kept me somewhat entertained. But I'm not a fan of video calls for the most part.
Well, do you reckon the NSA is watching us all?
Well, I think there's not even enough people to watch us, frankly, just knowing how it works. In the sense, not that I, know how it works. I don't work for MI5 or anything. But I just mean, like, everyone's, you must have seen, for example, the Vice documentaries, people selling drugs and whatever over Snapchat. It would be easy enough to find everyone, but there's no capacity to do it. So I don't worry about that. I just think with FaceTime, it's like, it's not the same as being... It's different if you're far away and you can't see each other, like people living abroad, like family, relatives living abroad and stuff. It's different, it's nice, but I don't think it's quite the same.
Okay, I see. Damn, for me it's literally the opposite, bro. Because I'm still going into work because I'm currently working in a school setting, and during the COVID, it's open for key worker children and children from family by family. So yeah, I've been working there at the moment, and I think it's the opposite of what you feel. I'm having to put up with other employees' bullshit, having line managers trying to throw work on me last minute. It's just a bit annoying.
Do you mean it sounds like a normal job then? Just no. But I get that. Like, but what I mean is, it's just a bit strange. I think it's different. If I had started and done the job in the office for 6 months, I'd be much happier to be at home. But some people I've only ever, like, I'm having to deal with people I've only ever seen through a screen.
You never met him in real life?
Never met him in real life, exactly. Like, apart from my immediate colleagues, I've never met anyone else in real life from my work. So it's a bit odd. But what I think it is when I go to work, like when I have to leave the house or whatever, I need to shower, I need to be ready. You have that adrenaline. I need to be ready for public consumption.
Really? I'm not going to lie, I struggle to get up in the mornings nowadays, man. It's such a kerfuffle.
No, of course. That's what I'm saying. Like, right now, I can get up just before I have to start working, and it's a lot better. Like, so I do get a lot of time, but I also kind of feel like I'm probably not at my best. Like...
Also, another funny thing I found in regards to, just outside my workplace, they started doing up the roads all of a sudden, like really quickly. And I've always wondered why is that like towards the end of like Feb, March. But then I realised it's because the council, because I live in a London borough, they're trying to use up all their budget. So what they've done, this road used to have like hella speed bumps, right? And it was the worst road to go on. But in all honesty, it was perfectly fine. So what they've done, smart guys, they've literally removed all the speed bumps and just repainted like the yellow lines and stuff. So the road is literally pretty much the same, but just without speed bumps. And they've done this like literally just out the blue. And it's like, oh, it's just so funny that now now that we live in a time where, what is it, close to austerity, where everyone's got no money, they're doing petty things like fixing the roads and stuff. Like, I just find that so funny, man.
Well, it's a weird one. I mean, the road situation is strange. I mean, the roads here are quite good in general.
I mean, you could put that money in something else. Like, for example, we know how all of our hospitals are being overrun with COVID patients. I mean, money could have been put there instead of fixing a road that didn't really need fixing.
Well, I work in like medical staff, and let me tell you, there's just not enough doctors. Like literally, right now, we're just struggling to get doctors in, and
Okay.
even at like good rates, even agency rates, it's hard to get doctors in. There's jobs that I advertise that no one has applied for the job in months. No
Oh,
one.
damn.
So it's a really kind of tough environment um, to bring doctors in actually, and that's all over. Like
Oh.
it's not just particular specialities. It's like everything. GPs, there's shortage. Psychiatrists, there's shortage.
Do you reckon it's just a shortage in general, or the reluctance by people who have the qualifications to actually be involved in like in a COVID setting?
No, I think there's a shortage in general. Like,
Okay.
but I think it's a bit of a weird one, just in my experience, because what happens is, let's say at least 50% of these people come from a very privileged background, and when you do come from that background, you have like a kind of wealth of opportunity at your feet, and I think this is the thing where people, I think, start getting like quite unsympathetic. Lots of people from privileged backgrounds still work very hard to do the jobs that they do, right? But they've had that privilege and they've had that opportunity. So it becomes like, it's like when people say, "Oh, people deserve to be poor or whatever." But let's say you're a bricklayer or a labourer or whatever, and you work minimum wage.
Yeah.
You work bloody hard. You're not lazy.
Precisely that.
So it becomes that kind of interesting crossroads of how much opportunity do you have, and I heard this. I was listening to this podcast. I forget the guy's name, but it was called like the failure of meritocracy, which is to say, everything is meritocratic, but
To an extent, right?
to an extent. But what happens is, if you come from a privileged background, you're given every advantage to succeed in your hard work. And just for example, we were talking about the doctors or whatever. If you want to be a doctor, you need to study. You need resources. You need
Yeah, you
time.
need accommodation, like you need, because the thing is, a study. Because I got a friend who's also going down the pharmacological route, or he wants to get involved in research, in medical research.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
it's the things that he has. For example, being able to have access to his workplace and a place where he can stay, which isn't too far from one another. Having access to buy, like you said, resources, the books for it.
The books, yeah.
So, yeah, like paying for his own living, like things like that. Because becoming a doctor it's an expensive road that you said, and I think being from a privileged background, like I think it's
It's
easier.
simple, dude. It's still like, let's say you got two families with 3 kids. One family, every kid has their separate bedroom. Every kid has their separate laptop. Every kid has time, space, and that kind of availability. They don't need to look after their little brothers and sisters because their parents aren't working 2 jobs, or their parents keep normal office hours and don't have to work late shifts or whatever. And
Versus,
some might not be able to have that, and it makes it more difficult to succeed. I'm not saying this is what I'm saying. It's like you can't take away from the effort that people put in from privileged backgrounds in any sense of the way, like, because you still got to hustle, you still got to study, you got to pass the exams. No one knows what your background is when they like mark your exam off.
That's true. That's true. So it's the circumstances that people have to grow up in. It's like the card that you're dealt in life, basically. Like if you're having to look after your siblings, yeah, that's just another hindrance on you, perhaps having to focus more.
It's like difficult because it's like, do you want to call your family a burden? No, it's not. It's not like they're a burden.
But it's just another thing that you're responsible for.
It limits your capacity, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. And so anyway, this guy's argument was actually what we have is a death of meritocracy, because what happens is, even though everyone works hard to succeed, the advantages are so skewed that it makes it difficult if you're not in that kind of, if you haven't got that structure around you.
That's the word, man. Structure,
like,
definitely.
structure, like family security, like if you're avoiding family breakdown, all these kinds of things. Like, I'm not saying actually, it must be mum, dad, and 2 kids. I'm not saying that.
And a semi-detached house.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be that, but what it needs is about structure. Like, parents can separate or whatever, as long as the structure is there. It's about providing that stability. But anyway, so he was just kind of saying, for example, what's happening is all the jobs that we've, like, normal people do, i.e. those hours are diminishing. Online shopping is killing retail, for example.
Definitely.
How long is it until even the like grocery shopping online is just picked completely by machines and those jobs disappear?
True.
So his argument was actually what's happening is the work available for those who are skilled, like doctors, solicitors, all these kinds of architects, whatever. So basically, the top of the pyramid, those skills are very in demand. Like I just said, there's not enough doctors. I could give doctors hours and hours of additional work.
But they'll be overrun with the work because there's not enough of them.
They'll be overrun with the work, but it's not easy to get into it.
Got you.
They opened a new medical school up in Kent, and there were 1,000 applicants for 100 vacant posts on the first year of the new medical school. So people want to do it.
Yeah.
But think, 1,000 posts, let's say, even if you said only 25% of them actually hit the grades, that's
200, 250. And there's only 100 places.
250. It's close to 3 people qualified to take the post.
Yeah.
So it's like, I found it.
But then they get.
Go on.
Because I was going to say, doesn't that. Why would they open it for more vacancies? So if it's only 100 vacancies, could they not expand it to 200 vacancies if there's 1,000 applicants?
Well, I think it's just the first year, and you need lecturers, you need all of that kind of stuff.
So that's what I mean. Maybe I'm talking from a layman point of view.
And you need like placements in hospitals and stuff. So it gets tricky because I know my local hospital, for example, sometimes you got to give them accommodation, but there's no buildings to give them accommodation like the students.
Okay. So wouldn't that go towards like housing then? Couldn't you erect more housing around the area near hospitals?
Well, yeah, but this is where it's all PFI, isn't it? So this, like my local hospital, was built with PFI.
PFI is.
It was called Public Finance Initiative, and basically it's like, let's say a private company builds a hospital, and then the hospital is kind of rented out for a period of time before it becomes owned by the public, and the company that built it and spent the money gets their money back.
You know, that's funny. That's exactly what's happening in my school. Like literally, they rent out the building to a private company, and so it's every change that they want to make, they have to ask the company that currently own the building, which can be a bit. There's been several arguments between the school and the private and the company that holds the building. So I guess it gets political in that sense.
It starts getting political. It starts getting, it starts going above.
So what? Okay, so go back to the death of meritocracy. wouldn't one way of overcoming that is that to give a leg up to people from disadvantaged homes, would you say, or areas, or who don't have the necessary structure to balance it out in a sense?
So I remember reading or seeing a kind of study which worked like this. It was like if you got in the top 25% or top 10% of your like educational institutions grades, you would be considered for medical school even though your grades didn't quite match. So let's say to get into medical school you needed 3 A's. If you were in the top 10% of your school or sixth forms, whatever, and all you got was A, B, B, they would
Yeah.
take you in because technically you're outperforming.
I mean, the average of what your college was achieving.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, so if everyone in your college got, let's say, CCB, and you're the only person, one of the few people that got AAB,
Yeah.
then
They
you'd be in the
would-
top.
They would accept you into medical school because
Even
you're
if-
outperforming your area, whereas probably lots of people from the privileged backgrounds aren't quite outperforming their peers.
Got ya. So you're getting the cream of the crop, basically.
So you're giving someone the opportunity to thrive. That's the idea.
Okay.
And let's be real, what's the reality of meritocracy? Like middle class people, they don't want middle class people, upper class people. Are they that interested in meritocracy? They're not that interested. They just want to make sure their kid
It's
sorted.
yeah, exactly. Get a stable job, and that's it.
That's it, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're not.
But isn't there an element of who you know rather than what you know in regards to because a lot of the middle class kids like, oh, I'll just go into my dad's business. He does I don't know, asset management, or I can just go into my mum's
Yo,
business.
that sounds more than middle class to me though. Like
But is
asset
it-
management. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
But that is most of the case. Like I have a friend of mine. We were both doing A levels, and he was doing accounting. But in the end, he knew that even if he gets like a C or just a basic grade in accounting, his dad had an accountancy firm that he was gonna go work with. So it's like, I guess yeah, there's different levels to that's what I think that's what everyone's pissed off about that privilege in regards to meritocracy can work to an extent, but connections, why? Because I just see it
Yeah.
as man, it's the card that you're dealt in life. Like not all of us are born with like, you say silver
extraordinary
spoon.
talents as well. But also, it just depends what's being valued at the time you're alive. Like, you know, like people have made millions become in one direction because they weren't good enough to make it by themselves.
That's true.
So it's like, you know, what about basketball? You know, like what about LeBron James? Like, put LeBron James 200 years ago, it doesn't work.
Why would you say that?
Because no one made money in basketball 200
Oh,
years ago.
okay, yeah.
So it's like it kind of and it's only because of television and internet and shit that it becomes valuable, isn't it? Like Michael Jordan, like
Okay.
cable TV, even the way music has
Has
changed.
become
Because
entirely.
if you happen to be selling records between like the late 80s and during the 90s, people like Eminem, Jay-Z, not like
Dr. Dre, I think
Dr.
he captured-
Dre. Yeah, that's the golden period because everyone needs to go into the store and spend $12 or
On
12
your
quid
album.
buying your CD album. And now they won't do that. Now they can just type it in on YouTube.
And it's all about streams now. And the thing is, I think we talked about earlier about who was the artist who got bumped. You got like 37 quid for
Oh,
a
Gary
million streams.
Newman.
Yeah. So this guy got a million streams on Spotify, and because of one thing or the other, label is bumping him. Spotify probably not reading the terms and conditions properly. He only got paid £37 from I think it was a song based. What was it? A song in the 80s or
Cars.
Cars.
It was the number one hit single in
Damn.
the UK for
Damn.
like, and got like radio play, all that kind of stuff.
It's crazy. But I guess yeah, there's more ways of like what we spend our money on now is different now. Like football, God, like we were talking about transfer fees before. Like when Zidane went to Real Madrid for what was it? Only like 38 million, and that was a lot of money. Now it's we talk about Neymar. We're talking about what if he was to leave PSG, he'd go for over 200 million because of TV rights and just sponsorships. It's just yeah, it's a different game now in regards to how you can make your money.
But this is what I mean. So it's like everything's changing. It can change very quickly how you make money, how you know what's valued, what's not. Some of it is just chance. So it's kind of like it's tricky, and that's what makes it tricky about how do you even stuff out. You know, some of it is so much luck. How many players never came through who could have been excellent football players or musicians or anything, man? You know.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a huge element of luck then, because I'm even thinking about YouTubers. Like we talk about KSI now, but he started it when early. There's a lot of people who start YouTube early, and they were just doing it for the fun of it, not knowing that there will be multi-millionaires later on.
No, of course. I mean, KSI is quite an interesting chap because I started subscribing quite early, and I used to think his videos were amazing, like really, really quite fun. I don't enjoy the new stuff too much. It's like, oh, don't laugh at this or whatever. It's just like your standard YouTuber fare, but it doesn't matter because he's getting the, you know, he's got the algorithm working for him now, and he's getting the views. So that's, you know, I think, but at the same time, that kid hustled from the beginning, like started making like the novelty rap videos. Now he's thinking, okay, let me do the rap thing. Like, let's open another stream of income.
Yeah. Now he's a
know,
multi-millionaire.
Because think you can tour with the rap thing. He can tour around. You know.
Yeah. Feature with other artists.
Feature with other artists,
get his
exactly.
brand out there. Like I think he's even got a film. Like he had a film that he done like 4 years ago. It wasn't a big film, but it was just he's now he can say he's an actor. So it's just putting himself out there and just really making it just from something that from what maybe like what we say 10 years ago people weren't taking that serious. YouTube.
Yeah, people were not taking YouTube seriously at all. I mean, people weren't even taking podcasts that seriously.
Yeah, it's
You
crazy.
know? And dude, like the podcasting, I still think it's not been fully explored. I mean, there's lots of organizations, companies that could be creating this kind of content, and they're still not there. They're still not doing it. They could have access. They could have, you know, I mean, even like the biggest companies, I know it's kind of lame, but even like banks, has your bank got a podcast?
I think Barclays were actually funny enough. Barclays they tried it. They were doing some Young Savers podcast, but I think it was just a one-off. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like this could be, you know, it's the same way I feel about websites versus apps. Like apps will soon take over from websites. Like nowadays, how often do you want to sit at your laptop or computer just to order something online? Or you can just go through the Amazon app. You can order food through the Uber Eats app. You can literally do your banking on your phone. So it's like, I feel, yeah, there is definitely a transition from one thing to another, which people haven't caught on to yet.
No, I mean, like the banking thing, man. I mean, just think about this as an idea. I mean, to be quite honest, yeah, should we even be putting this out there? I mean, this is, you know, copyright, big Kiz.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Send me
you
a
heard it
check
before.
in the mail because think about it. One, it's like corporate responsibility, marketing, and it's advertising. You're publicizing your product. So let's say I'm with NatWest. You mentioned Barclays, but let's say, like you said, Young Savers podcast. Let's talk about what these things mean. Let's talk about our products. What can this bank offer you?
Yeah, what's a cash ISA? What's an equity account?
Exactly. You know,
But then again, it could be said, the game is to be sold, not told. You know. So I feel like some businesses, like with banking, like a lot of the times, but when I first set up my cash ISA account years ago, this was when I was young. and I didn't understand any terms and condition. And this woman always said to me like, "I'm not allowed to give you any financial advice,
Oh,
but
okay, yeah. That's true though. That is true. Like they can't be saying spend your money this way.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So okay, I mean, possibly there's that kind of legislation, but no, financial advice. It doesn't extend to like explaining what a mortgage is, what compound interest is, or you know, I think there is a kind of corporate. What's an overdraft? How does overdrafts work?
I don't think anyone wants to know what overdraft is, bro, because they love taking our money from overdraft, bro. Yo, I remember I was overdraft for like one day. They didn't even tell me. I was overdraft for one day and they charged me 20 quid for it. I was like, oh
Yeah,
god,
it's mad.
mate, nah, they wouldn't tell you about overdraft. That's the last thing they want to tell you about.
No. Overdraft shit. No, I mean, but you know what I'm saying. When they're paying you to do it, but what I'm saying is, let's say NatWest have it. How many people logging into their app every single day? How many? All these banks. It's a kind of like it's an actual. It's an opportunity to actually reach into the customer's home and have that connection, have that relevance, whatever. And people don't do it. They're still not doing it. You know, it's a bit mad. It's actually a bit crazy.
But yo, Brian, we're sending the keys to the mint right here to our listeners, you know. Or if these listeners are businessmen or bankers, mate, listen. Like I said, send the money our way.
Yeah, send it our way, man. Because actually, the best relationships people have is when they feel like they can trust the business or whatever. You know, you go back if you know who you're dealing with. If you feel like you know and you can trust that relationship, you will just go back. You won't bother looking elsewhere. If things been smooth and dandy, and you feel like you're happy with your deal, you don't go looking around.
Precisely that. And also, I think with podcasts, it's a more intimate setting as opposed to a video. No, I wouldn't say a video. It's something because with a podcast, it's like we're just talking freely. There's no added pressure of someone's watching us. So I think your inner thoughts come out when you feel that it's just you and another person. And I feel like with podcasts, like when we're speaking, it's just I can speak freely. There's no filter. Whereas imagine if we're like on YouTube right now, we'd have to be editing stuff. We'd have to be saying, "Oh, we can't say that." Where this is just coming out straight. And I think with what you're saying with corporations, it's having that connection, that speaking to someone. Because the worst thing, I hate receiving emails from, I don't know, let's say from Halfords, right? I've bought something. They've said, "Oh, this is your confirmation email that you're gonna receive." I don't know. I bought like a bike cover the other day,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
and then 2 days later I hear nothing. 3 days later I didn't hear nothing. I'm like, what's going on? I send them an email back, no response. I finally call them up, and the guy said to me, "Oh, so sorry about this. What happened was your payment went through, but unfortunately, we can't. The nearest store is closed in your area." And so it was just a small call like that, an interaction like that, that made me feel a bit better. And
Oh, okay, yeah. But did
like,
you have to call?
yeah, I had to call. That's the
Oh,
thing.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I know what you mean. If it was like I don't know, a Halford's podcast on saying, "Yeah, if you haven't got your money at this time, do such and such." I think it would definitely help.
I mean, what I'm saying actually is it's a very low investment for a really potential high return. You know, people are going to consume your content, and you can put your you can promote your business.
Yeah, exactly.
know-
How many podcasts do you hear out there? They're advertising whatever, like Manscaped or something like that. Just
Oh,
a
yeah,
product.
yeah.
They've already sussed that out, but just actually doing a podcast themselves is.
No, but what I mean is, I think the corporate world hasn't kind of clocked on that actually, if you can. I just came up with a banking thing because it seems like a kind of idea where, let's say you did a podcast where all you do is provide 5-minute explanations of financial terms or ideas or whatever. Lots of people are going to sign up to that, you know, because it's value added, and you can advertise your bank and associate your bank, your product, with delivering like straightforward, valuable information, and no one's doing it. It's like it's kind of bewildering, actually.
I still think like there's a hidden secret to it. I don't think because if everybody's, I don't know, money savvy, who's losing out? The banks, you know. When it comes to talking about money, people are very secret. Like people always want to know the end result rather than the journey, you know. And I feel like you don't know how many hours it took for LeBron James of like in the gym, like shooting hoops or doing that. And like, would you care for him to explain it to you? No. And also with the banks, like I'm gonna, because I want to deviate into stocks in a minute. Because one thing that's happened this week is a lot of rich people have been lost their money because of the situation with there's a company called GameStop. So initially their stock shares were like really cheap, like probably like $5 for a share. And what it is, a lot of people were billionaires. I think it's called, is it short selling?
Yeah,
In
yeah, short
which,
selling.
in which they were anticipating that, okay, this company is gonna go bust, so I'm gonna put money into it. It's like I don't know how these rich people do it, but because I'm not into stocks as much. But basically, billionaires put a lot of money hoping this business would go bankrupt and they'll get their money on that. But instead, there's a group of people on Reddit who are like, nah, sod that. Let's start buying stocks in GameStop, and that raised the price of each share close to, I think the max point from it reached like close to $460 just for a share. And so in that aspect, a lot of billionaires, because if you're banking on that company going bust and now it's like doing really well, and you've invested billions into it, you've lost your money. But what I found from that situation, yeah, it was just a blip because now, right now, what the layman person, the people who weren't billionaires, they thought, oh shit, let's join this renaissance. Let's start buying shares in GameStop. But now the price of GameStop has literally dropped again. Now it's like probably like
Yeah,
$17.
now lots of people are losing their money.
Precisely that. But the thing is, it's not the rich people who've lost their money. Maybe the billionaires, you can cover a billion because they've got like balanced portfolios in which they've got different amounts of money in different areas. But it's like the person like you and me thought, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna join this little thing and get my return.
You had to be early.
Yeah, yeah,
So I watched a few videos actually trying to get this to explain, because I've had like a kind of interest in investing
yeah.
for a while. Like I've not actually invested anything, although I did make some money in this month. Like I actually made something like 100% back on. I wouldn't call it investment, but I had an asset like capital which increased in value. But I'll get into that in a second. But so this GameStop, so the short selling is kind of like, what I understood is, it's kind of like a weird, I still didn't understand quite the process, but like they borrow the share of someone else, but they're kind of betting on the price dropping. So it's a very odd kind of thing, but supposedly it's not that dodgy. But what happened is, obviously, because of COVID and lockdown, they thought, okay, the fundamentals of the actual business, i.e. people walking into the retail store of
And buying
GameStop
games, yeah.
and buying games, is going to fail. So they bet on the share price to fail. So basically, I think it's like this. They borrow the shares and then they have a promise to buy them back at a later date.
Knowing that the share's gonna drop though. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
they're making their money.
So
It's
that's
like-
where they make their money. But what's happened now is, as you said, the GameStop share price skyrocketed. So all these people that had bought the shares very cheap or borrowed the shares, they have kind of signed up to a contractual obligation to buy the shares wherever they may land. And because the price skyrocketed, they've been left out of pocket rather than making money out of it.
Okay,
So
that makes sense now.
So, but I kind of think there's two weird things going on, which is one, okay, it's kind of market manipulation in a weird sense, but hedge funds kind of do something similar.
Yeah.
But there's an issue where the kind of the fundamentals aren't right, which is GameStop is kind of fucked, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
any other retail business. And who the
'Cause I
hell
just-
knows, man? It's like, I don't know. It's saying, it's Reddit. It started on Reddit. It could be foreign interference. It could be, there's a kind of like national.
Yo, you know, just came to thought. Now that you just said that, what if it's the rich? They manipulate the situation to get the average person to think, "Oh shit, let me jump on this little
Who
stock
knows?
rise,"
I don't
and
know.
then,
I don't
yo,
know. What I'm saying is actually, I'm saying
That's-
because lots of people came when it happened. Lots of people all the major networks were saying, "Oh, don't do this." Everyone's like, "Oh, we need to bring legislation in to stop this." Blah blah blah. It could. I'm not saying it isn't how it's happened. It could be how it's happened, but at the same time, I'm thinking, is this foreign interference? Are they exploring other ways to manipulate markets around the world? What's going on exactly here? Because there were hedge funds that needed to be bailed out to the tune of billions as a result. And like you're saying, everyone who was late to the GameStop investment is going to lose lots and lots of bucks now.
yeah, exactly.
And the hedge funds lost bucks, and the fundamentals of GameStop don't change. Because this is the other thing that I need to actually read books. I need to read some literature on this basically. What is a stock? Because think a value of a stock can increase triple fold, but they've not made the company itself has not made more revenue, has not made more profit, hasn't bought more assets or become asset rich. It stays exactly the same, but the stock can triple.
Yeah, what's the determining factor of it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's just okay. It's market confidence, but that's like nothing, isn't it? It's just like people trusting. It's like trusting a particular football team is gonna win the league. You're just betting money on something. It doesn't actually mean it can happen.
Unless you know something inside, unless you got insider knowledge, or you can anticipate. You're getting information before everyone else. That's the only way you can have
No,
have
but
a
this is
step
the thing.
ahead.
This is what supposedly the best investor of all time, that Warren Buffett cat. He says, look at the fundamentals. Look at the fundamentals, because you need to look at a business and say, okay, if the stock market price is undervaluing the fundamentals of a business, that's the time to invest, because it will come to fruition, kind of thing.
So, for example, podcasting, in a sense, like 5 years ago, you could say, like, but the thing is, podcast is more individual. It's not just an industry. What can I give a better example? Okay, football 20 years ago, right? You can invest. You could have put the value of a team like, let's say, what's a low team? Burnley, right? Probably in League Two in like the year 2002.
Yeah, you could have bought some shares. I don't know if they're
Exactly.
You could have bought. Do you get what I'm saying? That's exactly what I'm saying. You could have done something like that. But the
And
only
then
thing
obviously-
is, I think it's more tricky with football though, because the fundamentals of football aren't that strict, isn't it? It's just about TV money and this kind of stuff, so it gets more tricky. But
But think of it. Remember when you had to pay subscription in order to get football highlights? Either you had to go to Sky Sports,
Oh, yeah.
or Virgin,
And now it's on
and now
YouTube.
on YouTube. Exactly. So I think you could have had a step in the game in regards to there's always going to be demand for it, because if you can get like 20,000 people to a stadium, imagine how many people you can get them watching through a TV screen.
I mean, the GameStop thing, I'm still like, I need to see. I want to see how the dust settles. Because
I think it's a blip in the pan. I feel like it's just. I don't think. I feel like people have learnt from this, and I think people won't be as like if we see another thing. Let's say H&M, right, and then all of a sudden the share prices that rise all of a sudden. I think people are going to be more wary of it than anything else.
No, but you need people betting against it as well, because I think that's what, let's be real, like a bunch of Redditors got mad because people was going to close GameStop, isn't it? And then they weren't having it. So it's a strange situation, the GameStop thing. But I'm also wondering, is there foreign interference going on? What is going on,
Questions that we don't have answers to yet. But like they say, the truth will eventually, like...
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this couldn't have been legit. I have a feeling it is legit, but what I'm thinking is, how do we know now every other foreign actor everywhere else is not going to be trying to instigate this exact same situation constantly all the time against different businesses or whatever, So I think that bit of it is kind of interesting. But let me mention, I made some money this year.
Oh, nice.
Through Bitcoin, actually.
No way.
Yeah. So, for whatever reason, I had bought some Bitcoins and left them in my Bitcoin wallet.
Yep.
And I think I had left like 35 quid in my Bitcoin wallet.
Yep.
And obviously Bitcoin went on a surge. And so my Bitcoins that I bought for 35 quid at the time became more than doubled in their worth. So when I next logged into my wallet or whatever, I had more than double the money. I had left like under 40 quid in there, and when I logged in, I had nearly 90 quid.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. Worth of Bitcoin, that's what I mean. So I was like, damn, I just made some cheese.
I think the people who are so worried about Bitcoin is the
volatility. Yeah,
precisely that.
But let me put this down out on the table. Yeah, every month I do some savings. It's 2021. If you have invested, like, at no point in history, as long as you're gonna put it on hold, i.e., as long as you're not gonna take the money in and out, you're not gonna lose money with Bitcoin at the moment in the kind of next 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, because I think there is. I feel like what it is, because what is Bitcoin essentially? It's a decentralized currency. It has no ownership to no bank, no like central point of where it's
let's
determined.
just think about this. We just had all this COVID lockdown around Europe, America, blah blah blah. Right? Think of all the money that's going to be printed in normal currency, all that quantitative easing. Our cash is going to be worth less, but it's not going to happen with Bitcoin.
Fair point. Yeah, that is true.
So I'm just thinking I'm going to put in. I'm waiting for the price of Bitcoin to drop a little bit, and then I'm going to put a month's saving just into Bitcoin, and that's it. I'll just let it sit for a few years, because it's money I can afford to lose, but two, I made more money from those few months, from that 40 quid in my Bitcoin wallet, than I have accruing interest in my savings account with thousands of pounds saved.
What's the interest rate on your saving at 0.01%?
It's ridiculous, mate.
Yeah.
It's literally like I'm sure I'm losing. I'm sure I don't even save. I'm sure my actual my bang for my buck is decreasing with the money saved there. Frankly.
Yeah, same here, man.
So and the thing is, I haven't got enough deposit for a house at the minute, and that's the idea. So my money is losing its value as it sits there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of mad. And the Bitcoin thing, you're right, it is so risky. So this is the thing, I don't want to go and buy Bitcoin at the minute because the price is a little bit high. I'm waiting for the next kind of fall. Then I'm going to put in some money, and then that's it, I'll let it sit.
And the thing is, about Bitcoin, it's not just Bitcoin. There's another thing called, is it Ethereum? Ethereum, I think I pronounced it right. Yeah. So it's like, oh wow. So what about that also? So I think it's just so many different things you could put your money to. It's just, are you willing to take the risk?
Are you willing
Because really and truly,
but
that's the thing about stuff.
Here's the one thing though, I reckon Bitcoin is going to pop. It's only 10 years in. Literally a few months ago, they added it onto PayPal.
Oh yeah, yep. Okay.
Now think about this, yeah. If you buy everything online, doesn't it make sense to have an online currency? Why are you going to pay for
Right,
things in
yeah.
pounds? Let's say you're buying a record off an American dude.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you pay in Bitcoin? Why are you going
Rather
to
than
convert?
dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you can pay and choose to receive your money through PayPal in Bitcoin or
Definitely.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever, man.
So, but what I'm saying is, I think Bitcoin, and this is the thing, everyone knows Bitcoin. Like, everyone's heard of it. Like, I'm sure if I ask my mum, oh, have you heard of Bitcoin? She'll say, yeah. Even your layman, even your postie, even your milkman, whatever, they've
knows
heard of
about
Bitcoin. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying people know what it is. I barely understand it.
Yeah, I think it's basically, is it blockchain technology?
Blockchain
basically
technology, yeah.
which makes it untraceable in a sense. But then you got people who stand on their moral high horse and say, oh, because of that, it could be used to be fund different countries with weapons or terrorist attacks, or just basically that's the anonymity of it all is what people are scared of, I feel.
Of course, but this is, what it is. It's because it's kind of like it's anonymity for poor people, mate. That's what it is. Because if you've got lots of money, you got the Swiss bank account already. You're funneling cash around everywhere.
Yeah.
Didn't a few years ago HSBC got done for funneling Mexican drug money? They got fined by like EU regulators or some shit. And then a few later, they were found to be doing the same shit anyway again. So, the Bitcoin thing, don't get me wrong. Like, I know people are using Bitcoin to buy like child pornography, this kind of stuff, But at the same time, I do think it will become legit. I mean, I don't know if you know about that old 50 Cent story.
Which one?
So a few years ago, he put up a mixtape for sale or something like that, and he took payment in Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, I remember that's He was like, this was like 2000 and like 2012 or something, very early in the game. And he blew
and people actually paid for it in Bitcoin, and in the end, now he's like a multi-million. He made like millions out of the value of his Bitcoins.
Yeah, because I think Bitcoin at the time went up to one Bitcoin cost like, I think like $8,000 or something just for one Bitcoin. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Man, I think one Bitcoin at the moment is in the thousands.
Okay.
Let me see history of Bitcoin value. Let me just bring this up, and then we'll kind of like. Oh, here we go. History of Bitcoin. Look, this is going to make you invest. I'm not saying, just like the banks, I'm not here. I can't give anyone financial advice. Okay, but look at this. It launched in January 2009. Yeah. In 2011, you could buy one Bitcoin for $1. Yeah. A Bitcoin, as of the 3rd of February 2021, is worth £36,000.
God damn it! Wow.
Right. So look at this. I can see here. I bought Bitcoins when it was worth around 20,000. Right. And now the price it went up to 40,000. So that's why I doubled my money. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you look at it, as long as you have held, you've never lost. So look, here's the biggest dips. On 17th of December 2017, it was worth nearly 20 grand
Yep.
a Bitcoin, and then it crashed. A year later, it was only worth 3,000.
Okay.
Okay, but look, now it's worth 40,000. So even if it seems like you had lost your money, if you had held, you would have made all your money back and doubled it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, the patience game, man.
You got to hold. This is what I'm saying. Like, you got to be willing to lose the money. So at the moment, the price and the valuation is still a little bit too high. I'm just waiting for it to hit around 20,000, and then
boom.
and then I'm gonna put some money I can afford to lose and just hold. That's
Yeah.
that's my scheme.
Or maybe the master plan is, Brian, that you're not telling everyone that you're betting on Bitcoin to go down.
No, so this is the thing. I know Bitcoin will go down. The next halving of the Bitcoins, when it takes longer for them to mine a Bitcoin, will be 2024, and there's always a drop in value of Bitcoin at that point. But I'm thinking I can't wait till 2024. I'm just thinking, if it drops down to about $20,000 worth, I'm going to put some money in and just hold, and that's
We'll
it.
see.
Because it's held at that value for a while. So
We'll see. We'll have this chat in a couple of years' time and see where we're at. One thing I do want to talk about to you about, Brian, is what's your opinion of freedom of speech? Is there truly freedom of speech?
So, I think for the most part, yeah. I think, ignorance or incitement of violence or hate isn't necessarily freedom of speech,
But it could be misconstrued. For example, take this statement I say, right? I love my country, Britain. I hate all these other nationals coming in here and ruining it. What is that? Is that freedom of speech, or where do you draw the line between hate speech and freedom of speech?
I think you should be free to say that. I don't think it's like a wise decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Would it be fair for me to be kicked off a platform for it? So if I was Twitter and I said that and I got kicked off,
no, I don't think so.
okay.
Um,
So where do you? Because that's the thing. Because basically, listeners, there's for people who go too crazy on Twitter, who are too extreme right, or too extreme left. There's another social platform known for them, or was known for them, called Parler. So this is a place where you can say whatever you goddamn like. And I think, Brian, you can touch on this about how this contributed a bit to the Capitol riots in Washington.
Well, basically, supposedly, you could see it. It's all on there that people were planning the insurrection and using Parler to do it. And that's why it's been kicked off Google and Apple stores, basically.
I
So
think the whole
it's
site
still
is
online,
down.
though. Let me have
Oh,
a
is
look.
it?
Oh, no, but they were getting hosted by Amazon.
Exactly. Oh, they've got they're on their front page. They're saying technical difficulties.
Oh, okay, yeah. So,
But yeah, what it was, the reason the reason that Amazon pulled them off their hosting website was because they violated the terms and conditions. And what it was, Parler never had no terms and conditions. When you signed up to the site, there was no wording that said you couldn't say what you wanted to say. And because of that, Amazon were like, nah, you violated. And I think the CEO of that company got fired also because of that lack of, reading the terms and conditions of what Amazon said. So it's like basically me setting up a store on your property, Brian, and then you're like, all right, cool, you can do everything, but you can't sell drugs. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I start doing what I want. My customers are coming in, and then I tell my customers, yeah, you guys can do whatever you want. If you guys want to sell drugs, whatever. So then you come back to me and you're like, yo, bruv, I told you couldn't sell drugs on here. And I was like, but my business model is that I can sell drugs. But because because I'm renting your property, you can kick me out straight away. And because of that, I think a lot of board members of Parler were like, yo, bruv, it's just common sense. If you're going to have our site hosted on Amazon,
well, I think
you need to vet the people that are on it.
No, but I think the way they were going to do it is kind of sneaky, where they would ask you to do terms and conditions and make you accountable for anything that went wrong,
Okay, rather than the actual site.
rather than the site. But I don't know. I don't know quite enough about this this parlor thing, but I think sometimes I think it's like freedom of speech. You have it, man. Like, but you don't have freedom to go on YouTube and upload anything you want on YouTube. No, because YouTube own YouTube, not you.
Yeah.
You are free to, if you want, you can buy.
Go out in the street and
you
start shouting what you
exactly,
want.
or you can buy your domain and host a video on your website. You can do that. No one's going to stop you doing that. You will find someone who will host it and do it for you or whatever. But the idea that you're somehow restricted because you can't use a private company's services is not, that's unrelated to freedom of speech, isn't it? I mean, I think people can say, oh, it's a bit dodgy because everyone's using Facebook and everyone's uses YouTube and blah blah blah, but that's not reality. That isn't reality. That's a private company's services which you are accessing. You've got no kind of constitutional right for that.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So I think they are free to censor you on their service, and you are free to not use their service and not be censored.
So basically, they've still got control of you. So there's freedom of speech, but not freedom of what you want to put out on. For example, with Trump, wasn't Twitter banned his account for like a day because of the riots?
But that's national security issues, isn't it? It's like, for example, even all this stuff like with the vaccine, people are spreading like vaccine. I'm not saying there's no good way to be skeptical or conscious about vaccines. There are, but some things aren't very helpful.
So there's a lot of misinformation that you need to censor.
There's misinformation. What about, I mean, did you ever hear that story about it was like the Sun newspaper, and they printed a bunch of like pedophiles, and some guy got killed, and it turned out it wasn't him. He was just
crap.
It was just mistaken identity or whatever.
Oh crap.
Oh,
so there are certain things you've got to be careful with that you put out there.
You have got to be careful, and but this is the thing, like when people say, oh, tech companies are screwing freedom of speech over, it's like, dude, come on. Trump had every opportunity. Like the dude's just taking it too far. He took it too far for too long. Like, really, let's be honest. No one in the world was like, yeah, Biden's my man. Biden's destined for the presidency. It's that Trump got no chill. He literally has no chill. The dude was just psychotically got no chill.
And he's a sore loser, mate. He's a sore loser.
This is the thing. If he was not like that, if he had had a little bit of chill, he would have won. But he had no chill because he was in that zone. He was in that world where everyone's telling him what he wants to hear and whatever. Distorted reality.
Don't we all live in a bit of a distorted reality in a sense? Because what I found with social media, especially Twitter, you get echo chambers, right? And I fell for it at one point. Like, there's one time I used to read a lot of The Guardian, and then I'd be on Twitter, and I'm seeing a lot of like leftist views of like, oh, we should increase taxes for everyone. The rich shouldn't be rich no more. And the thing is, I'm very apolitical, so I don't give a toss about politics, right? But I found myself like entering this of like, I'm getting the same news feed about particular political ideology, which I really couldn't care for. And that's what I found with social media. It creates like an echo chamber in which you only see what the algorithm thinks that you want to see. And then when you go out into the real world and you find people with opposing views, it's like, whoa. Yeah, what world are you living in?
I think it's like, it's kind of twofold. It's like, in some ways, it's echo chamber. There's an element of echo chamber, but it's also like, it's an element of you're just exposed to everyone's stupid fucking views. Who cares what Margaret from wherever cares about
From
this
Margate,
issue?
yeah.
Margaret from Margate Tim from Northamptonshire. Do you know? You know, like Abdul from Clapham or whatever. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
You know. And this is why kind of mainstream media, it kind of kept a kind of civility in the arguments, in the kind whatever was going on. Twitter, you can only write. You know, here's the thing. Like, you know, I did politics at university, so I'm not apolitical.
Okay.
But let's put it this way: like, people write long textbooks, arguments about these kinds of things. You're not sorting it out on Twitter, love. You know.
Yeah, you're not gonna sell the idea of socialism to me over 123 characters.
No, exactly. It just becomes like pedantic. It becomes stupid, you know. And it's people who possibly aren't capable of having a conversation or a dialogue which is going to lead anywhere, either because no one's ready to change their minds, or because they haven't got enough of the facts to get there. So
It's it's an interesting thing, man. Like, I feel like with freedom of speech, and like freedom of ideas and stuff. Yeah, you're right. It's just too many opinions. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one.
everyone's got one, and most of the time, most people's opinions aren't worth listening to. But I can understand. Okay, you can say, okay, only certain ideas are promoted in mainstream media and blah blah blah. And I mean, yes and no, and you know, it's more complex than a kind of straightforward answer there, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But for example, this parlor thing, I don't know. My instinct is to think, I don't like the fact that it's kind of been thrown off or whatever. But obviously, if they're looking at it and there's various people instigating against the government, and you can say, oh, it's the establishment or whatever, then
because really and truly, it's people who on Twitter. Because what I'm understanding, Parler is like, if you can't, basically Twitter would ban your account if you said what you said on Parler, if you said it on Twitter. So people just go in there and you're just getting the streams of both.
But I think it's like it's just getting like quite racial, isn't it, on Parler?
Yeah,
Or
that's
like
the thing. Yeah,
calling for assassinations of people and like,
Yeah.
Let's assassinate Democrats and stuff like this. I mean, that's incitement to violence, isn't it? Like, it's I don't know. It's
yeah, but I know what you. But what about things that are said at football matches? You know, against opposing fans, when it's like, I don't know, Millwall. Like, actually, no, that's a terrible example. I was gonna say Millwall versus West Ham. That definitely incites violence. But I'm just thinking of like a London derby, like Chelsea versus Arsenal, right? There's gonna be a host of animosity. But I guess I don't know.
yeah, but it's happening within that context.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not going to descend into like wider societal
Okay.
disobedience. Whereas
Yeah.
what they were kind of supposedly what was happening on Parler was that people were planning a coup. They were literally planning to overthrow the government, like domestic terrorism.
Okay. All
You
right.
know,
Yeah,
like
that's
not respecting democratic rule, not respecting rule of law. This kind of
Damn.
stuff.
crazy, eh?
And
It's
that,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, freedom of speech. You know, really, everyone's crying freedom of speech. You ain't had freer speech than you got right this moment. You can talk about anything you want and put it on the internet. You know, but the idea that you're somehow deserving or like entitled, it's not a human right to upload a video onto YouTube. Fact.
Yeah.
It's not your human right. You know, your human right's not been impinged upon because you can't write your trash on Twitter.
Yeah. But my only concern is, maybe in a couple of years' time we'll be talking about freedom of thought. Where, because we have all this advertising, subliminal messages, bro. On Spotify, all of a sudden the ads, because I disabled. I no longer have Spotify Premium. I play for Spotify Free, and so there's ads in between the tracks. And so 2 years ago, I bought Adidas Ultra Boost running shoes. I love them, really comfortable shoe. Bought them twice, right? Then all of a sudden, I'm seeing this Adidas advert playing. Oh, we've got the latest Ultra Boost 2021. You'll love these. And then you got David Beckham also in the background saying, "Yeah, the way I'm running this is like I still feel I'm on the field." I'm like, "What the hell is it? Are you trying to get personal with me for a
No, of
second?"
course it's the cookies. By the way,
Yeah.
I think I've got to show you some new Nike trainers I copped in it because I'm like they're quite ignorant, like ugly and out there, but I'm like in love. I can't wait for them to arrive.
What color? What colors are they in?
It's like transparent, Volt, and blue. It's I don't know if you've seen those Nike 2090.
Wait, which one are they? Where did you get them from?
I got them from JD, but I'll find it online. Hold on. But no, that shit is cookies, isn't it? It's just tracking your movements.
Tracking my habits, everything that I like, stuff I watch. I don't know. It's like I feel like at a point if you go through the motions of your life, these things could affect decisions you make or how
No,
you
of
should.
of course. Trust me, if advertising didn't work, they wouldn't spend the money. That's a fact.
That's true.
If advertising didn't work, think about it. Think about how Facebook, Amazon, Google have made all their money through advertising. And bro, advertising works. If you don't know a product exists, you're not going to spend your money. First
That's true.
point of call. And it works because people aren't very smart. Yeah, monkey see, monkey do.
You do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, that's the end of it. Like, everyone wants to think they're so sophisticated. Oh, I got a sense of style. I got this, I got that. No, you're just a clone.
Trust.
Oh, I've
Trust,
seen
man.
this Instagram person doing it. Oh, whatever. Everyone's just copying everyone else.
Yep. And they're giving us more ways of enabling us to do that. Did we speak about how like now you can buy designer clothes through was it Klarna where you pay in installments?
Oh, yeah.
So if I wanted to buy, I don't know, a Canada Goose jacket, which would put me back £700, I could just buy it in installments and have it really nice and easy. Whereas before there was some thought into the stuff we used to do. They're just enabling us to buy their products, man.
No, of course. And the Klarna thing, they're going to bring in tighter restrictions for it. Okay, I found the exact ones I bought.
Yeah,
Hold on.
what they
I'm going to... Oh, but this ain't the colorway. Hold on. But I am like proper in love with them already. They're not even landed. I've sort of bought them thinking they're going to be... I say I bought them. The missus has bought it for my birthday.
Oh, how cute.
Which is still quite a while away. But anyway, I want to wear them in the gym.
Oh, basically, the gyms are closed,
Oh.
mate.
Well, I'm hoping they'll open soon, innit?
I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical because the UK government haven't given us any news. Like we're in the dark as a man.
No, I heard some chat about like it's going to be soon. Like, well, not soon, but like, well, when the school's coming back, April. So
They say.
I'm hoping gyms wouldn't be like that after. Like it would be soon after. That's what I'm hoping for. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna. You know what? I couldn't find the exact one, but I'm gonna send it to you on the WhatsApp now.
Cool.
Okay. Yo,
You judge a man by his shoes, so I'm judging you for this.
is it? No,
Yeah,
they're
you
quite
judge a man by his
ignorant.
shoe.
They're quite ignorant. For certain, generally I'm quite like low key, but sometimes I do like.
Okay, you got yourself a pair of Air Maxes. Okay, 2090s.
2090s, because I just like how colourful and brash it looks like. But the one thing I was worried about is, look, it looks like you can see the sock, because I've only seen people wearing white socks with the shoe.
Oh yeah, because the ankle
But it's
cover is
not.
kind of low.
But it's not transparent. There's a liner inside. So
Okay.
So
Man, you can't. To be honest with you, Brian, you can't go in with Air Maxes. You can't go wrong with Air Maxes.
no,
And the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is,
yeah.
I think you know what the future of shoes is for me. I feel we're gonna soon go to laceless shoes. Because think about it, right? Look at the laces on these. Like they're tucked in. You've got a cover for where you put your laces. Because I'm not gonna lie, the last thing you want to do is tie your laces of shoes. I found that I buy shoes with, well, trainers in particular, with less laces now.
So, well, I'm gonna I used to have like little Velcro Adidas when like maybe 10 years ago, and I used to love them. But one thing now, I don't lace up my shoes. I just have them laced, and I just stick my foot in.
Yeah, and you slide. Yep, yep. There's a lot of sliding shoes now.
But
That
I
is
was looking at Nike, and they got a few now where it's got some other kind of weird lace system.
Yeah, like auto lacing. I think there's Nike Air Adapts in which they cost maybe like £300, but they automatically tie in your laces for you.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, I've seen those like Back to the Future boots
oh,
type shit.
those are rarity, mate. Those cost like over £1,000.
I got to say, I don't know if you've seen those Nike Air Vapors, but
Yeah,
those
not
I was keen, but the price is a little bit too. Um, it's
the,
it's unnecessarily. It's an unnecessarily high expense that I don't need when I can cop. I think my missus copped those Nike Air 2090 for like 50 quid for
okay.
me. So
Damn.
that's a good deal from RRP 130.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You know.
Gotta be a shoe shopper, you know. Don't let these sale prices get to you, mate. Because a lot of time when they have their sales, it's the crap that the companies don't want no more.
No, of course, mate, and I think Sports Direct, for example, are the worst. That you can buy your Nike and your Adidas, but the quality ain't.
The same.
It's the quality. You know what? It's like outlet. They've been made to be sold at that price. You're not getting any extra value buying your Nike at Sports Direct. Frankly,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
you know. So that's the thing about that. Like, but yo, you know what? It's early Saturday morning, and I need to eat some breakfast.
Yep, yep. This is a good recording.
Have you had
bro.
breakfast now already?
Yeah, yeah. I had to say before we started, mate.
Is it?
I
What
wouldn't.
did
I
you
wouldn't
eat?
get food. I had Frosties, mate.
Frosties.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you because I tried cornflakes, but then I find myself adding sugar on top of it or honey, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just go back to Frosties. I don't know. I need a sugar rush. I'm a person. I thrive on sugar.
Oh no, I'm kind of anti-sugar, but we'll leave that for another day.
Another day. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's been excellent speaking to you. You know what? These things are a problem, these podcasts, actually, because we were chatting for 20 minutes before,
Yeah, exactly.
and I know if we stayed on, we could chat still.
Honestly.
I think it's
Anyways.
been a good one.
Yeah, definitely. I hope listeners enjoyed this. And yeah, this is I've been crap. You know the name of our podcast also determines how we end it.
No. So, well, I'm Brian, but let's just say I'm the big part of it
Yeah.
of the pod.
I'm Abu, I'm Kiz. Brian, I thought you were gonna go. I'm big on this.
And this has been the Big Kids podcast.
Podcast,
We will be
yeah.
back next week, probably improving as we go. So
Definitely, yeah.
and always an optimistic approach in it.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and hopefully you'll stay with us on this journey of us just
Progressing
ranting.
and not being
Yeah.
rubbish. Like,
Yeah, basically.
Peace.
Peace, bro.